The energy codes are a series of principles and practices and ways to learn how to orient yourself inside yourself in a fashion that allows you to steward the energy flow through the human system in a manner that it is intended to be flowing. If it is flowing in the manner that it is intended to be flowing, you will find yourself in a much more empowered state. If it's not flowing the way that it's intended to be flowing, we tend to find ourselves in a state of disorientation, of frustration, with physical symptoms or an inability to manifest the things that we choose to manifest in our lives, the things that we desire to have happen, just don't seem to happen if the energy flow isn't happening through our system. Now, interestingly enough, people don't realize that if we're trying to manifest something in the outer world, and it's not happening, that it is directly related to something not manifesting in our energy world, in our inner world. And so when those two things are not flowing, then the outer world cannot possibly flow, because as we know, as people who have been studying energy and people who have been in the inquiry for some time now, or even if we're just beginning in this path of truly discovering that there's another world available to us, what we recognize is that the outer world is a reflection of our own consciousness. It's a reflection of our own ability to know who we are, to land, to plant within our core, to integrate in such a fashion that we have access to all of the infinite possibilities that exist. And if we don't have access to those infinite possibilities, the reason is because we don't have the circuitry to perceive it. Because the fact is, we each do have access. And if we do not have the ability to perceive that access, then we are perceiving ourselves to be living a life isolated, on our own, trying to make things work, trying to make ends meet, trying to find a higher meaning, a higher purpose in life. And oftentimes we can certainly find that rather frustrating, to say the least. And so what I'm doing is bringing to you a conversation about some secret kind of perceptions that some people don't recognize and don't realize, even if we're in the study, that we don't realize that there is more to mastering this life experience than just learning how to manage energy flow, learning how to move energy through the body. There's more to it than that. There is, in fact, an ultimate disposition that has to be attained for us to ever have life mastery. I want to speak to you about the fact that it isn't enough to become aware of the energy flow. It isn't even enough to learn how to move the energy with our practices in life, by raising our vibrational frequency, by paying attention to the nutrition that we consume, or the exercise that we do, or the amount of time that we meditate, or the amount of yoga or other embodiment practices that we do. That alone isn't even enough, and that's a lot. If we were to engage in all of those things that I just mentioned, guarantee we will have a life shift. But I'm really interested in you having a life shift that is truly transformational and sustainable. And what I mean by transformational is that you recognize a different version of yourself once and for all, that you come into contact with a you that you previously have been wondering if it existed, or perhaps periodically listen to it as this small, still voice that comes forward, hopefully in just the right time, or in previous situations where it was needed most, it showed up for you. Those present moments are significant and important, and I'm interested in you having access to that all the time, to constantly and continuously be living as the individual that is the small, still voice, and make it not so small and not so still, but to bring it forward, because it is the real you. It is the soulful self, the essential self, the higher self. It is the healer within. It is that great intuitive power that we possess. It is not enough to think that we possess it. We have to learn how to become it. We have to learn how to live as it. And that is an entirely different way of living than our culture is currently awake to, aware of, or practicing as. And so, ironically, Indigenous cultures were aware of it. They lived as it. They lived in communion with nature because they were identified as this true essential self and in the body as that. Living in the body as that is very different than learning to access that information and bring it forward when we think we need it. The truth is, we always need it. The truth is, there is no other life we're supposed to be living. We have to learn how to orient ourselves in such a fashion that we are coming out as that we're coming out with alpha thinking, that we are actioning as though that is the creatorship itself moving outward into the world. You know, there are two systems that run this body. One is the electromagnetic energy field, and energy medicine has certainly become a popular conversation now that we're orienting ourselves toward the subtle realm. Energy medicine is the only medicine that I have ever received as a patient, but as a doctor, it's the only medicine that I've ever delivered. I grew up in an environment where living from the inside out, learning that everything that we perceive and think in our consciousness and everything that we do from an energetic standpoint ultimately determines our ability to self-heal. And so I've never gone to the doctor and taken an antibiotic or a prescription drug for any reason to cure some ailment that I had. It is that energy medicine is the only medicine that I have ever engaged in. And for the last 30 years plus, the only thing that I've been doing professionally, working with patients and clients and now groups of people around the world with this idea that the electromagnetic energy field is the single most significant thing that we can begin to focus on as individuals or as practitioners in the world, because it gets us in touch with a greater portion of reality than we have been in touch with just dealing with the physical and the physical symptoms of illness or the physical symptoms of not being able to manifest the relationships that we choose or the financial security that we long for or the hormonal balances that we're interested in having in our personalities and in our health care, etc. So what we have to do is learn to manage this energy on a subtle level. Now, that electromagnetic energy field influences the central nervous system, and the central nervous system and the conscious mind and the subconscious, all of that fits in to the picture the way that we've been studying it for so many years in the areas of personal development and self-help, but there is more to the picture, and we're waking up to that. Our culture is so ripe and ready to recognize that energy medicine is not the medicine of the future, it's the medicine of today. It's the only medicine that truly could have been helping us holistically all along the way, and we're certainly ready for that. And I want you to understand there is a hidden perception inside of that whole concept that is even more holistic, that we have to awaken to if we ever truly want to master this realm to our full capacity.